Today I want us to talk about over-explaining. What is over-explaining? What causes over-explaining? And how do we stop over-explaining? Now, when Ramadan had begun, I started my Ramadan with one dua that I wanted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help me stop over-explaining and make me aware of when I am about to over-explain or when I am over-explaining. Right? Now, over-explaining is as simple as the name suggests. You're giving more information than what was required of you. All right? Giving you an example, is say supposedly you're invited to an event, okay? And because of one thing or another, you have other commitments, or it can be simply something as simple as you want to rest. So you never show up. I decided to take the rest that your body deserves. So when you've met with somebody, they ask you, oh, by the way, you were invited to so-and-so, and how come you never showed up? And instead of just saying I was tired or just saying like I was busy, you end up saying, you know, my day went like this and it was like this and this is what happened. And by the time I got home, you're giving so much, or I was tied up, justifying why you are unable to do something, right? Instead of just simply saying, I wasn't in a position to attend. Something as simple as that. But because of doing that, you want to justify. So you've helped somebody and then you want to justify it. Do you get it? That is over-explaining, giving more information than what was originally asked of you. All right? Now, why do people over-explain? Typically, psychologists say that over-explaining is a trauma response. But what you need to know is that this trauma is not only childhood traumas. It can also be traumas that you have picked up from your marriages, from relationships. Now, why I say that is because trauma is your body's way of protecting you, or your mind's way of protecting you. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made our minds is that it's there to protect you. So every time you got in trouble for not giving information, you are now going to give so much information, all right? Now, you have to find the root cause of it, okay? The root cause of over-explaining can be fear of rejection. You're afraid of nobody liking you, nobody being your friend, or you want to please people so that they can accept you for who you are. Or you're afraid that if they knew the real you, they wouldn't love you or they wouldn't accept you. So you have to have this persona or this perception of yourself that isn't real, that is living for them as opposed to living for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second one, and the most common one, is safety. Because you're afraid of getting in trouble. You're afraid of the repercussions of something. This can be in broken marriages. So you're afraid when you don't tell so-and-so your whereabouts or give the full itinerary of where you are, you got in trouble, either physically, emotionally, or there was some sort of an abuse. So your mind connected that if you're not giving information or you're not justifying it to the people, then there'll be consequences to those actions. Now, why you're over-explaining is entirely different. You need to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, every time you're giving somebody more information than what you require, what is it you're looking for? Are you looking for safety because you're afraid that other person might think wrong of you, or you want to be liked because there's this perception of being a good girl? So you have to justify why you can't go to a certain event. You have to justify why your itinerary has to be in details, or why you didn't pick up the phone when you were supposed to have picked up the phone. Do you get it? Now, this is some of the causes of over-explaining. Now, how do we stop this? Is by finding out where the over-explaining began. All right? Now, over-explaining can be, as I said, due to many, many reasons, but you need to be honest with yourself. If you're over-explaining because you're afraid, you need to stop and ask yourself, what is the other person going to do? What are the repercussions of it? Because at the end of the day, why would you want to live in a less than when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create you to be less than? Do you get it? And you always need to remember that it is a response. It is not something that you do consciously, rather it's something that you do subconsciously, right? So some of the things you can do is, one, practice silence, right? Every time you're being asked a question, pause. Don't be hesitant in responding as fast, and listen to what that other person is saying and respond with very short sentences. This is not something that you can wake up one day and decide, boom, I'm not going to over-explain. It's something that you're going to build up on over and over and over again, such that in a month's time or in about 2 months' time, by the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will be able to notice that your tendency of over-explaining is less. Another thing you need to remember is that sometimes certain people around you bring out the over-explaining in you. What do I mean? I mean that there are certain people, if you sit down and you think carefully, there are certain people in your lives that over-explaining comes more natural to you than it does to other people. Like you can control yourself with certain people, but you can't control yourself with other people. Now you need to ask yourself why that is the case. Oftentimes it is because you value the other person. Oftentimes it is because you want to be perceived in a certain light by a certain individual. So you end up over-explaining yourself to that particular person. In order for you to stop over-explaining, you need to know what causes it, like we've just explained, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. So learn what causes your over-explaining and then ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help, and then take proactive measures for you to be able to stop it. If you like this content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rooted in Nia.